Now I want to go ahead and create the layers for the edge of pavement and road. For this project, I'm going to go ahead and assume an 11-foot drive lane, 2-foot curb and gutter, 7-foot grass area, and a 5-foot sidewalk. So what I'm building, if you look at, let me turn the map back on. So if you're looking at this, what we're talking about is from the center line of the road, I'm going to assume that the pavement is 11 feet wide, and then there's going to be a 2-foot curb and gutter, and then there's going to be 7 feet of grass and a 5-foot sidewalk. Okay, so that's typical. That's what we normally see in at least Osceola County. You can look up the code for the design examples through the Muni code. So I'm going to just go ahead and use this arbitrarily. So the next command, well, before we start, go back to your home and you can click on layer properties. That also gets you this menu up. I want you to create a new layer, and we're going to call it 0-FAU-EOP for edge of pavement, and I'm going to make that current. Right now, I'm going to make everything the color of white, and we may change the colors when we go to print them. So let's just focus on this right now. So I'm going to close that, and I'm going to turn off the geolocation. Now I'm going to go to get the edge of pavement. I'm going to use the offset command. So O for offset, and then I'm going to type in 11. Because that's the distance I want. I'm going to click on the line that I want to offset. So I'm going to click on this one. I'm going to offset it to the left side, click on the line again, and I'm going to offset it to the inside. Okay. Remember that they said that the cul-de-sac was 34 feet at curb and gutter. I'm going to assume that it means 34 feet at the back of curb. So now I'm going to go back to the home. And I'm going to go ahead and click on layer properties. Also, you can type in LA down here. I am going to go ahead and change the color. See how it has color right here? I'm going to change the color to, and it pops up on the other side. I'm going to change to green, and watch. It'll change the edge of pavement. Now, the reason it didn't change the edge of pavement is because when I offset it, it offset it as a center line of the road. So I'm going to delete that. Okay, so to delete, click on the objects you want to get rid of and then hit the delete key on your keyboard. Or you can use the erase button, okay? Or type in erase in the command prompt. This is our command prompt. Now I'm going to show you the offset command again. O for offset. Now here I'm going to say L for layer, and I'm going to say current because our EOP is current. Now watch when I say 11. Since 11 is already here, all I have to do is hit enter. Click the object to the left and to the right. Okay? Now, I'm going to draw a circle, C for circle, shift right click to the center, and I'm going to draw a 34-foot. Well, I'm not going to do that yet. Sorry. I'm going to create a new layer and go 0-FAU-BOC, back of curb. And I'm going to leave it green. And I'm going to make it current. So now I'm going to go C for circle. I'm going to go center. So I'm drawing to the back of the curb. So that's going to be a 34-foot radius circle. Okay. Now I'm going to offset. Now curb and gutter is usually 2 feet. I will show you the FDOT indexes on curb and gutter a little bit later. But curb and gutter that you see normally, whether it be a Miami curb or an F curb, it's 2 feet. So I'm going to type in 2, and then I am going to click this. 2 feet here and 2 feet here. Now notice that it's on back of curb. If I come over here and I change that color, I'm going to change to cyan. Now the back of curb is cyan. if I make the edge of pavement current again, and I type in O for offset down here, and I type in 2, then there is my edge of pavement and my curb and gutter. Now I need to trim and clean up this pavement area. So I'm going to go ahead and pause here and show you how to clean that up. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and clean up and show you the trim command again. So I'm going to type in TR for trim. Now, the way that it works now is it automatically lets you start to trim objects. If you're using an earlier version, this isn't true. You actually have to hit enter to start cleaning up the objects. And you can see that the little X gives you the ability to clean up objects. All right, now here's the thing. I'm going to type in F for fillet, and I'm going to click on the radius, and I'm going to say 25, and then hit enter, and then I'm going to pick the arc, and then I'm going to pick this. And notice it didn't work, because if you look at this, if your property box isn't open, I really recommend, this is tool space and I'll show you that later. I really recommend keeping your property palettes open, okay? It's got a lot of useful information. So you can see that it's an arc. You cannot fillet an arc into a line or polyline. You actually have to fillet polyline to line. So I'm going to type in the word pedit in the command prompt. And I always do M for multiple. And then I'm just going to click on each one of these. Then I'm going to hit enter. And then I'm just going to hit enter again, which is yes. You could J for join these. Enter, enter, enter. And it'll create one big polyline with a length on it. This is really useful when you have to start doing cost estimates and getting links and dimensions. So I'm going to type in F for fillet, R for radius. I'm going to hit enter because 25 was already entered, but if 25 isn't there, then you type in 25, hit enter. I'm going to pick the arc first, and then I'm going to pick the object. I'm going to hit enter again, and then it's going to bring up the last command. I'm going to hit R for radius, enter, pick the object, and click. Now I'm going to actually delete this, but I'm going to make this the current layer. So if I highlight an object and I come up here on my home ribbon and I click make current, it'll change that and make that a current layer. So I'm going to delete these. You can also use the erase button, erase, and pick the objects you want to erase. I'm better at using the delete button, selecting them, selecting the objects, and then hitting the delete key on my keyboard. That works for me. So now I'm going to go O for offset, and I'm going to type in 2, enter, and I'm going to pick the object and offset it on the back side. So now I've got my curb and gutter, okay? Now I'm going to create a new layer. I'm going to come up here and create a new layer. I didn't feel like getting rid of that box. You can get rid of the box by clicking it here. So the new layer is going to be 0-FAU-SW for sidewalk. I'm going to change that to a white, color code 7, and then OK. All these colors will print a different line weight depending on how your pen table is set up. So I'm going to go ahead and close that out. Now I'm going to offset, and I'm going to type in 7 because that's the grass area to the front side of the sidewalk, and then go 7. Now look at the layer that it's on. It's on the wrong layer. For whatever reason, I forgot to make this current. So the way to make it current also is to pull this down, your layers, pull it down, and click on it here. In this video, I'm just showing all the different ways to do these things while I'm actually designing a subdivision. So I'm going to go offset again, and Notice down here it says settings, erase, layer is current. So I'm going to go ahead and hit enter since it's 7 feet and pick on the outside. All right. The next thing that I'm going to do, it's going to be the typically right-of-ways, depending on what county you're in, the right-of-way is going to be 50 feet. That means from the outside of sidewalk to the outside of sidewalk in this example. So I'm going to go ahead and create another layer. Click on that. And I'm going to call it 0-FAU-ROW, right-of-way. And I'm going to make that color yellow. Now, here's the other thing. It should be a phantom line. The styles are all different. So I'm going to click on the line type, and I'm on the right-of-way. I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to change to Phantom 2. And I'm going to say OK. So it'll say Phantom 2. So I'm going to make it current. Now I'm going to offset that 5 feet, because this will be to the back of sidewalk, also my right-of-way line. Okay, so remember when it said the minimum is 44. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that circle. So right there is my right-of-way line. Okay, now I am going to say if I have a 50-foot front lot and my minimum lot depth or minimum lot is 5,000 square feet, remember based on our code here, so I'm building the classes as I talk. Based on our code, the minimum size is, there it is. The minimum lot area for an R1 is 5,000. And if the minimum front width is 50 feet, that means the lot has to be a depth of 100 feet, right? Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my AutoCAD. Now, I'm going to offset. So I'm going to create another layer. I'm going to call it FAU, 0-FAU lot line, LOT-LINE. You can do this however you wish. When you get into a company, they'll tell you specifically how they want it. I'm going to make that current. Now, I'm going to offset this 100 feet. Okay, so you can see that here, since I don't have 100 feet to my property, I am going to move this down so that I know that I have a minimum of 100 feet depth, because I don't want more than 50 feet wide. So I'm going to show you the move command. So M for move. You can also use the move button up here. Now it says select objects. If you select an object, there's two different types of windows. You can pick from left to right, see how it's blue, or you can go right to left and see how it's green. If you go right to left, it's only going to pick the objects that it's encompassing. Okay, so I am going to pick all of these objects, because if I do it this direction, notice it didn't pick anything. I have to select everything. So I always usually use the green window. So I'm going to type in, I highlight things usually and then type in the command prompt, M for move, or highlight it and then M for move. Now I am going to move it, and I'm going to go from end point, shift to perpendicular. Okay, notice that it's still off up here because these lines aren't parallel. So I'm going to highlight it again. I'm going to hit M for move, and I'm going to go shift right click. I'm going to use nearest, and I'm going to pick here, and I'm going to go perpendicular. Okay, you just have to make sure that you have at least 100 feet in depth. Now notice that my lot line is still phantom. When I went and created a new line, it copies the line type. I'm going to change that line type back to continuous. Okay. Now, I'm going to start my lot lines. I'm going to have a little bit of a gap. I'm going to use this as like a landscape area. Okay, for the most part, I'm going to extend. I'll probably get rid of this cul-de-sac, work with the neighboring subdivision to get rid of the cul-de-sac to make it a continuous road. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw an arbitrary line. I'm going to draw a line from this end point, and I'm going to go perpendicular to this line. I'll show you why in a minute. Now there's another command called extend, EX for extend. You can also use this up here. There's trim and extend up here. Okay, so I'm going to extend this line to here. Now you can pick boundary edges, meaning I can pick this line here to extend it to and hit enter and then pick the object. This is, again, a different way to do it than in the 2018 version. So now I'm going to extend, EX for extend, and I can just, as soon as I hit the extend, I can start picking things. I can actually pick, notice it says fence point, I can pick all of these, but it only extends to a certain, extends to the certain lines. That's why a boundary line is very important to use. So now I'm going to get rid of this, highlight it, and then hit delete. And I'm not going to worry about this, but I do want to show that it's tying into an existing right-of-way. We won't worry so much about that right now. Right now we're just learning the basics. Now I'm going to go ahead and pause here, and then I'll move on to the next video to show you how to lay out the lots. All right.